Today we're diving into a really fascinating idea from an ancient text, the Bhagavad Gita, that feels, well, surprisingly modern. It suggests that financial exploitation isn't just morally wrong, it's an act that literally damages the mind of the person doing it. So let's explore this idea, the hidden karmic cost of taking what isn't yours. So, the source material starts us off with this foundational principle. Taking that which is not rightfully given is sin. Okay, sounds simple enough, right? A clear line in the sand. But as we're about to see, the Gita is way less interested in the act itself and far more interested in the internal state of mind that makes that act even possible. Yeah, this isn't your typical story about crime and punishment. The text argues that the real consequence is, well, it's a lot stranger. It's more like an internal corrosion, something that happens inside the mind of the person who takes what they haven't earned. And that brings us to the central, kind of startling question of this whole explainer. What if the very act of exploitation sets off a chain reaction, a kind of cognitive self-destruction? What if the real price you pay for taking what you didn't earn is your own mind? The source argues that this is a sin that goes way beyond theft. It actually gets specific, highlighting the misuse of wealth earned by women, framing it as a violation of Dharma. Now think of Dharma not just as duty, but as kind of like the fundamental operating system of the cosmos. To violate it is to throw your own entire internal system completely out of balance. And this is the crucial point. This isn't seen as a social problem or even a simple character flaw. The Gita frames it as a failure of perception. The unethical action is just the last symptom to show up. The real problem is a mind that can no longer see clearly. Which brings us to the absolute core of this idea. Our intelligence is not some neutral tool. According to this text, the act of exploitation doesn't begin with the action itself. No, it begins with the prior corruption of the mind that's supposed to be guiding you. To really get this, we need a key term, buddhi. It's the Sanskrit word for our intelligence, our ability to discern, our ethical judgment. Think of it like a camera lens. The Gita argues this lens is not fixed. Your actions can either polish it so you see with incredible clarity, or they can smudge and crack it until your whole view of the world is distorted. And the Gita lays out this chillingly precise sequence, the path to ruin. It all starts with an attachment to entitlement. That feeling breeds a desire so powerful it just steamrolls your better judgment. Then you need delusion to rationalize what you're doing. But, and this is key, look at the order here. The destruction of intelligence, the buddhi, happens before the final collapse. The inner ruin comes first. So how does this cognitive decay actually play out in a karmic sense? The source describes it like a kind of seesaw. As one person is exploited, a huge imbalance gets created, and not just in bank accounts, but on the invisible ledger of the mind. This imbalance shows up in the quality of your intelligence, your buddhi. On one side, you have sattvic buddhi. That's intelligence that's luminous, it's clear, it's aligned with duty. And on the other side, tamasic buddhi. That's an intelligence that has gotten clouded, sluggish, and is just lost in a fog of entitlement. And here you can see the two paths side by side. The provider, who keeps doing their duty even when they're deprived, they actually accrue karmic merit. Their intelligence gets sharper. Their resilience grows. Meanwhile, the exploiter, who's busy rationalizing everything, goes into karmic debt. And that debt shows up as confusion, as a decay of clarity. It's a powerful idea. Karma doesn't follow money. It follows moral alignment. Okay, so what does this degraded intelligence actually look like in practice? The source gives us a pretty clear playbook of real-world behaviors and tactics. This is the playbook of a corrupted mind. And notice these tactics. It's not just about taking stuff. It's about normalization, making it seem like it's her duty to hand things over. It's about creating distrust, labeling her financial freedom as a threat. It's giving her all the responsibility with none of the authority. See? This isn't simple theft. It's a sophisticated system of control, built by an intelligence that has already taught itself how to justify injustice. So what happens in the long run if you operate this way? The source is really clear. It's not some punishment from the heavens. It's a predictable, totally self-inflicted decay from the inside out. And here's a critical insight. The intelligence doesn't just go away. It gets repurposed. The mind stops being a truth-seeking tool and becomes an incredibly clever justification-building machine. Just look at this shift. A healthy mind is geared toward finding truth, toward moral clarity. But a corrupted mind uses its horsepower to build rationalizations, to develop strategic blindness to its own actions.
It's your intelligence turning against itself. And the outcome of this cognitive decay is pretty much inevitable. Judgment gets worse, relationships keep breaking down. You could have access to plenty of resources, but there's this constant instability because the inner tool you need to manage success has been eroded.
So, is there a way to prevent all this? The source actually proposes a state of consciousness where exploitation isn't just wrong, it becomes literally impossible to even think of. The text calls this God consciousness, but you don't have to think of it theologically. Think of it more as a profound shift in perspective, like a whole new mental architecture. In this state, you stop seeing wealth as an entitlement. You see it for what it really is: entrusted energy, someone's sacrifice, someone's responsibility. And that awareness acts like an internal governor that just makes exploitation unthinkable. You see, without that architecture, the mind just follows a simple, destructive path. You desire what you didn't earn, you create a justification to take it, and then you exploit. It's just the default setting for a mind that only sees what it feels entitled to. But with this awareness, the whole sequence gets rewired. It doesn't start with desire anymore. It starts with an awareness of someone else's effort. That awareness automatically triggers an internal restraint, and that leads not to taking, but to protecting. The exploitative impulse gets shut down at the level of thought itself, long before it ever becomes an action. The source text wraps up this whole argument with a statement that is just so powerful. What is earned through another's discipline is sacred ground. Violating it degrades karma, repeating it destroys intelligence. And this really leaves us with a provocative final question to think about. It's a challenge to look at our own cognitive habits and just ask ourselves, is our intelligence serving the truth? Or has it been repurposed to build ever more clever justifications for our own desires?